come on, make a move. Everybody, say it, make a move.
What has that got to do with it?
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
With these immortal words, Bill Murray's Dr. Peter Venkman in Ghostbusters #1 created an inept, corrupt, opportunistic, yet hilarious character and launched a lucrative franchise that survives to this day. We are now, unfortunately, overrun with Dr. Peter Venkmans, minus the hilarity. In a study that even his medical colleagues rarely dispute, Dr. John Ioannidis cites exhaustive studies showing that around 80% of the findings in medical journal articles are later proven wrong. This is where doctors get information they are using to make important decisions about the medical care of their patients. As for those few researchers who do take issue with these findings, their main defense seems to be something along the lines of, well, I never said I was right. There are a number of explanations as to why this is happening, but it all boils down to one thing: bias. Researchers are claiming outlandish results because it increases the likelihood that their work will be published. This happens most frequently in what my brother, the physicist, calls the lesser science of biology, but it is becoming rampant in all the sciences. People calling themselves scientists to a greater extent than ever before are being driven by emotion, bias, political affiliation, and a quest for glory. Folks, if you wanted to be a political scientist, there's a major for that. I find this to be absolutely horrifying because without good science, my fellow human beings, we are doomed. Individual liberty, along with what I would argue is its natural byproduct, good science, are both required in the long term for the survival of the human race. Now, the areas of science that are holding most closely to their original guiding principles are in what I, the non-scientist, call the geek zone, and in a good way. These are labs where hardly a day goes by without an obscure reference to something that Captain Kirk did in an old episode of Star Trek. These are highly technical and complex specialties like quantum mechanics and particle physics. Scientists in the geek zone, by and large, are practicing actual science, as in making observations, developing hypotheses, testing these hypotheses, and coming up with theories based on reproducible results. Scientists in the geek zone believe that the term settled science is an oxymoron. They do not lobby, they do not march, they do not try to run our lives, but when they step outside the geek zone, like, sorry man, the late great Stephen Hawking, they seem to morph into run-of-the-mill celebritards, making predictions outside their area of expertise that are calculated to catch the latest news cycle. Now, people seem to have formed the impression that saying the word science gives you instant credibility. Well, it did, not anymore. So, Dr. Ioannidis of medical journal study fame, if you're listening, I have another project for you. Please examine all of the supposedly scientific findings that are driving today's public policy. Please look as well at the politics, the incentive systems, the biases, and the conflicts of interest of the researchers publishing these findings. Please also examine how those who don't agree with the settled science are being treated. Has their funding been cut? Have their careers been threatened? Are they being called nasty names by their supposedly level-headed and professional colleagues? Finally, please take a look at the personal behavior of anyone sounding urgent alarm bells due to their settled science. This will help determine whether or not they themselves are taking these alarms seriously. Dr. Ioannidis, it will not always be possible, as it was in your study of medical research, to verify outcomes, but it will most certainly be possible to reveal motivations. And that should tell us a whole heck of a lot. Maybe even how not to get slimed by marching hordes of Venkmans.
Venkman, what happened? Are you okay?
He slimed me.
That's great!
Now you won't say nothing about it. You won't say nothing to me. You won't say nothing about anything.